Irena Sendler, an unfamiliar name to most, but this remarkable woman defied the Nazis and saved over 2,500 Jewish children of the Holocaust by smuggling them out of the Warsaw Ghetto. Taught by her family that doing good is worthwhile, and disheartened by what she saw in the ghetto, she decided to take action. She snuck children out between 1942 and 1943 in boxes and crates. The tragedy of the Holocaust and Hitler's genocide was avoided by these children as Irena helped smuggle them to safety. Even though she was beaten until she couldn't walk, she made it out and continued her rescues. Today, Irena doesn't call herself a hero. She merely says, "I could have done more." Although not recognized until a while ago, Irena has already impacted many. Through the tragedy of ripping children away from their family, she created one huge triumph by saving an entire generation of children. Irena Sendler, a young woman during the 1940s who is part of a secret organization called Zgoda, set up by the Polish government in order to help Polish Jews in the Holocaust.
At that time, World War II was going on, and one of the reasons that caused World War II was Hitler coming to power after the president of Germany, Paul von Hindenburg, passed away in Hitler's aggression towards the Jews.
Franklin Roosevelt was President of the United States during World War II, and they were fighting with France, Great Britain, the Soviet Union, and China, and were fighting against Germany, Italy, and Japan.
The United States fighting group was known as the Allies, and Germany's fighting group was known as the Axis powers.
Irena worked in the Warsaw Health Department, so she had permission to enter the ghetto, and every day she would see the suffering of the young, innocent children.
She and her Zgoda team, made up of social workers, made a plan to start sneaking the kids out of the ghetto into safety until the war ended.
Irena once said in an interview after the war that it was very difficult to find people she could trust at the time because of all the ruthless blackmailers and Gestapo officers prowling about the streets, looking for someone to turn in for a reward. But luckily, Irena knew that the Zgoda team was made up of people she could trust.
Irena and her team mainly smuggled kids out of the Warsaw Ghetto in Germany, and she learned safe routes that got her through the wall safely from a potato chip smuggler that she had known previously from when she was a child.
So with the help of her group, Irena and the Zgoda team were able to start making a revolution by saving kids from the Holocaust.
The Zgoda team had many different ways of sneaking out the children, like hiding them in ambulances, taking them through sewer pipes, underground passages, and suitcases and trolleys.
Another way she hid children was putting them under the dashboard of a car or truck, and they had a dog sit in the passenger seat of the car that was trained to bark if it heard the child squirming, grunting, etc.
One time, Irena even hid a kid inside of a coffin and carried it out of the ghetto in her own 2 hands past the Gestapo, giving the illusion that someone else had died in the ghetto.
Irena would sometimes take in the children and teach them to pretend to be Catholic. She would wake them up in the middle of the night and make them memorize Catholic prayers so that if the children were stopped on the street by the Nazis and asked to recite a Catholic prayer, they would be prepared.
Irena would also give the children fake names and even fake legal papers, like birth certificates, so that it was near impossible to catch them as Jews.
But to keep the real identity of the children safe until the war ended, Irena used tiny cigarette papers to write down the real names and personal information of the children, and then she would seal the papers in glass bottles and bury them in her garden to keep them safe.
One time, Irena and her friend were putting more information into jars when the Gestapo came to the door and started pounding on it.
Quickly, though, Irena gave the information to her friend that was with her, and she hid it in her underwear. So luckily, the Gestapo didn't catch them that time. But soon after, Irena was caught by the Gestapo. She was taken and tortured over and over again because they thought she was involved with the potato chip smuggler who gave her the routes in and out of the ghetto, and because they wanted the names of the children that Irena had hid.
But Irena never gave up his or the children's names.
Since Irena wouldn't give up the names, she was sentenced to death. When Irena was about to be executed, her friend quickly bribed the executioner into letting Irena go. Because of her friend, Irena was able to live.
After the war ended, Irena dug up all the names of the children and tried to reunite them with their families, but she soon realized that most of the children's families had passed away in concentration camps.
Even though most of the children's families had died, some were still alive, so Irena was able to reunite some of the children with their families.
After the Holocaust ended and Irena finished her rescues, Irena Sendler continued living her life normally, and she kept in touch with some of the children that she saved.
After the war, Irena got married, but she got divorced soon after. Then, in 1947, she got married again to a man named Stefan Zagremski and had 3 children with him, a daughter Janka and 2 sons, Andrei, who died in infancy, and Adam. After Zagremski died, she remarried her first husband, but they divorced again.
Irena lived to be 98. She lived from February 15th, 1910 to May 12th, 2008.
Surprisingly, Irena wasn't widely recognized until 4 girls found her story and uncovered it by making her life into a theatrical production and sharing the wonders of what she did with the world.
If it wasn't for Irena, a ton of children could have died in the Holocaust. Her brave, selfless actions helped save so many people's lives.